We pit the brand new iPhone 5S against one of the most recent Android releases. It's Josh Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And this is the iPhone 5S versus the LG G2. From a design perspective, this could be considered yet another 5-inch screen device up against the smaller 4-inch iPhone 5S. But LG managed to squeeze even another 0.2 inches into its small bezeled flagship phone. The LG G2 sports a glossy plastic material that feels jam-packed underneath it all, as the pretty thin body coupled with its heft give it a very premium feel. LG went for a unique button layout as its power button is on the back of the phone right where your index finger would land, flanked by the volume rockers. While it is certainly different and might seem a little odd, the index finger idea actually pans out, and you realize how natural it feels after just a little bit of time. On the other hand, we have the iPhone 5S, which is much smaller and continues the iconic aluminum material tradition. At 4 inches in its screen, it is much easier to handle in one hand, and just about everything is accessible from a neutral grip. The button layout is classic iPhone with the power button up top and the volume rockers on the side under a silence toggler. Even this seasoned Android user can appreciate the design of the iPhone. It's still an attractive device, even if its design is starting to get on a little bit. With such different screens, it's easy to realize that this becomes a battle of sizes. While we have the 4-inch Retina display on the iPhone capable of 1136 by 640 resolution, the 5.2-inch IPS screen on the G2 is a 1080p display. Though 1080p displays have become very popular due to their media viewing experiences, it's no reason to completely disregard the iPhone's smaller screen. The Retina display handles the colors of iOS 7 incredibly well, and media viewing is still fun if you don't mind the smaller size. Reading definitely favors the G2, however, as its pixel density is much higher, and its size makes text easier on the eyes. Ultimately, it's up to you what kind of viewing experience you want, but you do have to remember what handling experience you'll have to deal with as a result. As you'll hear is the case in plenty of these comparisons against Android smartphones, it's a matter of powerful Snapdragon processors up against an updated Apple offering. The LG G2 sports the Snapdragon 800 that clocks in at a whopping 2.2 GHz and gets double the RAM over its competition. The 5S, on the other hand, is one of the first devices to introduce 64-bit capabilities in its processor. However, in usage, this isn't quite as important. What is important is that the iPhone still smoothly gets through its elements with no stutter or delay, just like what is possible with the incredibly powerful package found in the G2. In hardware, both of these phones don't have any removable parts and thus no expandable storage or removable batteries are included. The iPhone can get from 16 to 64 gigabytes of storage while the G2 keeps it to either 16 or 32. The 3000 mAh battery in the G2 might dwarf the much smaller unit found in the iPhone, but with different demands in either system, usage obviously dictates overall longevity. Otherwise, the addition the 5S has over the G2 is its fingerprint reader, located in the flattened home button up front. It's an interesting and novel addition whose location makes much sense, but whether or not it speeds up waking your phone depends on how accurately you can scan your fingerprint on that first try. In the camera department, both of these phones got updates. While the iPhone 5S got an overhauled app, the G2 was able to add in optical image stabilization. OIS helps to not only keep photos and videos from getting blurry with your shaky hands, it also helps flood more light in during those low light situations. Otherwise, it comes with a plethora of modes in its app, definitely giving you a lot of control over your smartphone photography. The iPhone 5S brings more modes into its app, which gets a very attractive makeover as a blur transition gets you from one to the other. Additions include a square mode, basically for Instagram, slow motion video capture, and a bunch of filters, live filters built in. We'll take a closer look at the picture quality between these two cameras soon, so stay tuned for that. And finally, in software, we deal with the battle of the numbers when it comes to user interfaces. iOS 7 gets a big design update and now is much flatter, includes many translucent effects, and is overall much more colorful. It's a greatly welcome change to the OS, and even with the additions of the Control Center, enhanced notification dropdown, and enhanced multitasking, it's a new look with an almost completely familiar feel. The Optimus UI of the G2, on the other hand, should be familiar to LG veterans who know the multitudes of things that it is capable of. Q-Slide apps, Q-Memo, and Q-Remote are just a few of the many things the G2 is capable of, not even mentioning the new Slide Aside, which puts aside whole applications in a stack for later usage. To many, iOS is an interface that just works, but to plenty of others, it might be too simplistic. It certainly looks much better this time around, however. Otherwise, the Optimus UI may be a little overwhelming, but it potentially comes with any and all tools that you might need. And so, there you have it. Size might be the main battle that the iPhone will always have to contend with, especially if Apple keeps to the 4-inch form factor. In this case, it's up against one hell of a beast in the LG G2. The updated iOS might bring a refreshing change to what the iPhone fans have always used, but if you need more, perhaps much more, the LG G2 has it in almost every other aspect. Keep it on Android Authority for more comparisons and coverage, because we're your source for all things Android.